You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Welcome back for another shift on the Geeks Watch. We're here talking about Shadow and Bone on Netflix. We're on episode 5. That's right, 5.
That's the one.
Sure.
What's the episode title there, John?
This one is called Show Me Who You Are.
Show Me Who You Are. Very ominous title. Yes, I'm Mitch, and with me as always is John,
Hail.
Steven,
That's me.
and Elizabeth.
Hi.
But as always, before we get to our featured review, discussion.
Overview.
Huh?
Overview.
Overview.
And with us in spirit is Jessica.
And with us is Spirit Jessica. We are going to talk about our week's watch. So, Elizabeth, what did you watch this week?
So this week, because Jessica could not make it for recordings, John had to suffer through having me on VHS Gems with him.
Oh,
and
stop.
And so he kindly agreed to let me watch When Harry Met Sally.
I mean, you
Which
didn't
is
want to
one of my
watch In the Mouth of Madness?
Yeah, no, I Googled both In the Mouth of Madness. What was the other one?
Night of the Creeps?
Night of the Creeps. Yeah, and I looked at both of the covers and went, nope, not something I'm gonna watch.
I think therein lies the entire pitch for VHS Gems.
Yeah, but I don't do horror movies, so instead we did When Harry Met Sally, and you should go listen to our conversation on that. But as always, it's a great movie. It's a classic.
Why is it a great movie?
Because
Wow.
it does all of the rom-com things right
Okay.
while not being a chick flick.
Okay. I will have to take both of your words for it because I have never seen that movie.
Yes, well, I'm going to make you watch it after we finish watching all the Fast and the Furious movies.
That's
Oh,
right.
God.
That's my trade-off.
Naima and I recently watched Notting Hill for the first time.
I've never
Oh.
seen that either.
Honestly, it would hold up if you took pretty much the exact same script and made it today.
Yeah.
There's essentially no changes. Julia Roberts is still a pretty empowered character throughout the whole movie. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Harry Met Sally.
2
is
weeks
one of
notice is pretty
those-
good too.
It's true.
Both
I
films
remember
is
that
good.
one fondly.
Except for you have one problematic actor in the movie. Not 2 weeks notice, but
Notting Hill.
Notting Hill. And you have a problematic situation in 2 weeks notice. She's his
Because of the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the problematic actor in Notting Hill?
Reese fans?
Is that the roommate?
The roommate, yeah.
Who would have guessed that guy would have become an issue?
Wait, what did he do now?
I remember one year at the year that he was Dr. Connors for Amazing Spider-Man, at San Diego Comic-Con, he got into some stuff and said some very bad things to the point where they had to kick him out of San Diego Comic-Con.
Whoa.
But I think since then, and maybe I'm remembering this wrong, that some other stuff has come out about him, but maybe I'm just, remembering things
Tainted
wrong. From the comic, or from
San Diego
Comic-Con, yeah.
And he did a lot of really cool bit parts. I loved his character in the
The Replacements?
Keanu Reeves football movie. Yes, that one.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
See, but I think Stephen was saying that Notting Hill you could just remake.
Well,
so
he
you
would-
don't have to
yeah.
use the same characters.
That's fair. You don't have to
The
use the
same
same actors.
actors.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a shockingly good movie. I'm actually kind of glad that I hadn't watched it up to now, despite my love for rom-coms.
Fair. It is a good movie. But yeah, no. So everybody should go watch When Harry Met Sally and then go listen to the VHS Gems episode.
There you go. VHS Gems is on our network. Usually out every Thursday at noon Pacific time.
Ooh, that's a
Not
good
this
turnaround
week, though.
time. You guys are good at that. That's a good turnaround time. Even with insider knowledge of when they record, that's pretty good.
Steven, what did you watch this week?
I watched a couple things. I actually, I got to watch a lot of things this week. One thing that I would recommend for everyone that's not a movie thing is if you're a PlayStation owner or a very hopeful PC gamer, go watch the 15 minutes of gameplay they put out for the new Horizon Zero Dawn game. It's like Forbidden West, I think is the name of it. It looks gorgeous. So, other than that, though, the thing that I watched that was a movie or TV thing, like we usually talk about for this, I watched the first episode of the new Amazon anthology series, Solos, which is basically like it's in the genre of a Black Mirror, a Twilight Zone, things like that, but it doesn't seem like there's anything that's really intense so far, just having watched the first one. So take that with a grain of salt.
Okay.
The first one stars Anne Hathaway as a person who's trying to figure out time travel. And over the course of the first episode, you kind of figure out what her motivations for this are. There's obviously a couple different things that make it different than what she's initially saying things are. And it was very clearly a very COVID-safe production because it's just her and her, So it was pretty good, though. I do agree with some of the reviews that I've been seeing for it that I think have kept it from getting on anyone's radar, really, that talk about it being kind of toothless. Like, there's not really a point. The thing that I had actually texted Mitch when I was first talking about this was that it feels like one of those Vimeo or YouTube shorts that you'll see that'll have some actor who 2 years from now will be a background character in some big show, and you'll go, "Oh, I saw them in that thing back when." But instead, it has Anne Hathaway,
Which is
I don't know what to say about it other than it was good.
I mean, I think you hit it on the head with the idea. I mean, I haven't watched it, but I think you hit it on the head with the idea of the COVID safe. Like at the time when this was probably being filmed, actors were looking for anything that they could do for work that would be COVID safe. And if it's just her alone, then more than likely it was like, well, we can probably get Anne Hathaway for a steal because she's not working right now because nobody's
Honestly,
working.
I think the thing that was one of the best things that came out of that whole time for production was all of the stuff that we're now seeing get adapted from audio dramas into series announcements. Like a lot of the Q code things. Like there's just a slew of announcements for those becoming TV shows because of course it is.
I mean, yeah, we're seeing lots of like you said, Q code stuff and other narrative podcasts and podcasts that bring up almost like lore, like how they turned lore into a TV series. Maybe that was just a little bit before its time because they're starting to do it all again.
Yeah, it's a good market. Makes sense. Like a good test base for stuff.
Did you ever watch? I believe it was on Hulu. 404.
No, was it Room 404?
No. That was Room 304 or something like that. No, this was another anthology show, and I think John and I watched it for this show. It was another anthology show that kind of was like Twilight Zone, but skewed more sci-fi, like more tech sci-fi.
Like an Outer Limits?
I guess more like an Outer Limits. Outer Limits always seemed like it had to do with aliens. This
That's fair.
The first episode, one of the episodes, and I can only really remember one episode of it, was the Patton Oswalt takes his niece to go watch a movie. And I think I'm seeing, I can't even remember, but he's very like snide about the movie the whole time and how it's how they're gonna ruin it because of this, and Hollywood doesn't have any good ideas anymore. And then like his niece, who's who used to look up to him, like ditches him to go hang out with her friends, and it hurts his feelings and stuff like that. But there's a weird, I think the movie comes to life kind of thing in there. Do you remember this, John? Am I just talking nonsense?
No, I don't. This doesn't sound familiar at all.
All right. Maybe I dreamed the whole thing.
I remember.
I was gonna say,
I remember
I
the
feel like
idea.
you need to write this.
Yeah.
Yeah, reach out to Pat Oswald about it.
I know it's a thing. I just might not. We might not have talked about it on the show.
No, I do remember this happening. The idea of there were a slew of anthology series that came out. It seemed all at once,
Yeah,
or
especially
at least
after
like
Black
within
Mirror.
inside of 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Black Mirror a lot, but I think that there are definitely some misses that rob it from greatness.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
You didn't watch Electric Dreams then, did you?
No, Electric Dreams fucking sucks.
Yeah, that was bad.
It's so bad. I don't want to mince words on that one. If you're an Amazon Prime user who's thinking, should I watch this thing? I'm low on TV. Go watch something else that you've watched before.
Yeah, that was bad. Like, you would think with stuff that's adapted from Philip K. Dick, you'd be like, yeah, I'm all for this. But no, think again. Think about all the Philip K. Dick movies that are out there, and how many of them do you actually like? Did you have an Apple TV Plus account? Have you watched Amazing Stories, the new Amazing Stories?
No, is this the one that's all audio?
No, that's Sounds or something like that. No, Amazing Stories was Steven Spielberg's anthology show from the 80s, but I believe they redid it for Apple TV Plus.
You were thinking of Dimension 404, and we did not watch that on the
Dimension
Geeks Watch.
404, that's what it was called. But yes, yeah, go look up Amazing Stories. I know the old stuff was really good. I don't know about the new stuff yet.
I was looking into it. Yeah, I enjoy an anthology series.
Yeah,
Hey, Mark Hamill's a narrator.
for Amazing Stories or for Dimension 404.
Dimension 404.
All right. Well, you should go watch it then, John, and then I could piece this all together.
I can say we watched it in spirit.
There
just
you go.
Times apart. Which that could be a plot. That's like the Lake House, but for like show watching.
I love the Lake House.
We
just watched it in different times.
So what was the name of your Solos was on Amazon
Yeah.
Prime. Did you watch anything else?
I did, but I can't remember what the other freaking thing was. God help me.
Lost it.
John, what did you watch this week?
So I watched one movie and then just a bunch of trailers because like my time has been, if I can find enough to like sit down and look at my phone, I'm kind of lucky right now. But I want to start with some trailer action first because these are short, real simple, digestible. The Eternals was announced, and we got our first real look at it.
Dropped, yeah.
Yes. And this one's weird because I love everything that is being represented by a movie or a story like The Eternals, which is way more on the cosmic side of things. Like, I want to say Guardians of the Galaxy is a step towards that direction, but this is like a huge leap even further. It's got a lot of kind of Prometheus-like elements to it, ancient aliens, these superior beings that have kind of stewarded humanity over the ages. And I'm all for it. Like, I think I've only ever read one Eternal comics in my life, and I was like, this is cool. Like, I like how, the street level stuff is interesting to a point, but I can only watch somebody fighting in a hallway so long before I stop caring that they have to work the next day and they have, they show up to a case with a bruised eye or whatever. I was like, this is like much bigger stuff happening, which I like. But I've been noticing online that people have been either kind of just scratching their heads at it, like, huh? Like, this doesn't have that quirkiness like Guardians had. And even with some of the bigger name stars like Angelina Jolie and Salma Hayek, they're still like, who are these people? Like, what is this? And that's in the best case scenario. In the worst case, I've been seeing some people straight up hating on it, saying this is going to be Marvel's first flop. They're just trying to push this diversity agenda on us because it's like a multicultural cast. And somebody that I like even went so far as to say, oh, they're pandering to India now because they're throwing in Bollywood in there. And I'm like, dude, there's one brief scene that looks like people dancing and Kumail Nanjiani's in it. Like, this is not Bollywood. Like, what is with all this vitriol that people are spewing? I'm like, am I getting too old to be a fan, or are fans just wrong?
It's the second one.
Yeah.
No, it's the fans that are wrong.
Yeah, fans are just
fans that are
buttholes.
wrong. We got to make that Principal Skinner meme.
I feel like everyone's in the spot where they're like so immediately judgy, but at the end of the day, like I think it's honestly my generation who's so judgy. But like my Transformers is Beast Wars. Like if they were changing the thing that I liked so much to make it fucking Beast Wars from Transformers right now, everyone would be up in arms. But Beast Wars is awesome. Teen Titans as the like anime infused children's cartoon is the one that's everyone's so hard up for because that's the one they grew up with. But that's a drastic departure from previous Teen Titans. So everyone who's out there complaining about something, just watch stuff and have fun, guys.
We can't have fun. They gave us a medium where we're allowed to yell as loud as we want at everybody all at once. So we have to do that.
It's fair.
Apparently. But I mean, I'm still all for it. And the one that kind of hurt the most that I watched somebody I actually like. I like Grace Randolph. She's kind of abrasive sometimes in her trying to bring scoops. You know, she was the one that was pushing this big story of Pedro Pascal was quitting the Mandalorian because he wouldn't take his helmet off or whatever. And like she would not retract that. She was like, nope, I'm standing by my sources, whatever. I still watch her from time to time, even though I've definitely have weaned off her a bit. And her critique of the trailer was, and I don't even think she was trying to be ironic or funny. She was like, oh, so now they're trying to take away humanity's progress and say that it was these other ancient aliens that made humanity progress. Okay, I see what they're doing here. Whatever, you know, like just being dismissive of it. I was like, dude, it's a movie. It's a story, and it's based on a comic book. I think you're putting a little too much stock in this. It's not trying to be a documentary or something.
I mean, it's a,
imagine
it's
Yes,
a
it is,
universe.
John, clearly.
It's a universe where it says a dude built a suit out of metal that he can fly around in. So
Yeah,
And where super
like, I don't know.
soldiers are a thing.
yeah.
I like the idea that she goes to watch Wolverine and she's like, why? Okay, so now where science is going to try to improve on the natural evolution that mutants represent.
Like he was fine just as is. Why do you have to put adamantium in his bones? I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like people have just been. Maybe I'm just getting older, but I'm like, you know what? I can see why older people get crotchety and stop caring about younger people's opinions.
I don't think Grace Randolph is that much younger than you.
Yeah, I think it might be the younger people who are more accepting of stuff. Honestly,
You know, once I hit 40, I just presume that I'm older than everyone. Like I immediately caught up to my parents. We're like on the same level now. We go to the casinos together.
go to the buffet.
You hit
Yeah.
the early bird special.
Yeah. So the other thing I watched was The Tomorrow War, which I think is an Amazon exclusive, starring Chris Pratt.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting one. I like the premise quite a bit. I'm sure that they're holding on to some big twist or reveal, but I really like it because it reminded me of. Do you guys remember Weekly Reader? Was that a thing for you guys? I know, like I said, I'm older, so I don't know if they phased that out by then.
What is Weekly Reader?
Wow. Okay. So yeah. So when I was growing up in school, they passed out this little like 2 to 4 page little thing called the Weekly Reader, which is essentially like a little newspaper that had little short stories or
We had
things
a
in the
different
news.
one. It was all Scholastic based.
Yeah.
It was Scholastic branded.
Okay, yeah, this one was I think I was gonna say
Harcourt.
Dunder Mifflin. No, it was the other one, Houghton Mifflin, I think, was the one that we had.
Okay.
So basically, that's what it was. It was like a Reader's Digest or something for kids. And there was a story in it in which a kid who played a lot of video games was visited from a time traveler from the future who, I guess at that point, everything was more like gesture-based. So they didn't have the motor skills that they needed in order to do like something manual to help them. I don't know, it was like whatever it was, but think like Last Starfighter meets like Back to the Future, that kind of thing.
All I
And
could think
like,
was Last Starfighter as you started saying it.
yeah, and that's what this gives me like a big vibe of that, like time traveler meets Last Starfighter. because I guess the premise is something's happening in the future, and humans are basically doing like a reverse Terminator, where they're going to the past to recruit more bodies to take to the future to fight in their future war. And there's also some shades of Edge of Tomorrow, aka Live, Die, Repeat, aka All You Need Is Kill. Yeah,
Best one. The best name that no one should have changed.
Yeah, that would have been
Die
it.
Repeat's better.
But it says the whole plot.
They should have just called it Groundhog's Day with aliens. I mean, people would have understood that at least. Yeah, so they have some aliens that kind of look a little reminiscent to that. Like I said, I'm sure there's some kind of twist, but I'm in for it because I just like the premise already. And I mean, who doesn't like Chris Pratt, even when he's being a weirdo? At least he's no Rice Irfin.
Yep.
And the last trailer I watched was Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh.
This is the musical.
Yeah.
Yes. This was a weird one.
Feature.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I had no idea what this was, but one of the YouTube channel reaction channels that I watch, it's these two like uber sensitive males. The channel's called Previewed, and like they'll cry during whatever they're watching, and they're proud of it. Like they'll just get emotional. So like I just like watching these guys because they're also funny. And one of them has seen the actual show that this is based on. The other one hadn't. So he just kind of described like, yeah, it's got kind of a problematic premise. And I was like, okay, now I'm intrigued. And so I started watching the trailer.
Problematic premise.
And well, the story itself, I guess, has some issues that could be seen as kind of controversial, but only in the same way, apparently, that Catcher in the Rye is controversial, where you just have a character that's could be seen as kind of a scumbag.
Yeah.
Although it sounds like in this one, it's kind of unintentionally he does something scummy. Well, I mean, the point of it, because they tell you in the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler. So he goes to therapy, this guy named Evan Hansen, who's played by, what's his name here? I just saw it. It is Ben Platt, who I recognize right away.
To him being in the role.
Oh, well, we'll get to that then, because I'm curious. I wonder if it had something to do with him being in Pitch Perfect. Yes, because that was probably my favorite character, because he was because he was a Star Wars fan, of course. But he has such a weird turn in it where he like did magic and thought that was going to make him cool. And then he gets turned down by the a cappella groups and all of that, and then at the end he comes in and saves the day and has like a really surprisingly good voice.
And he sings one of my favorite songs.
Which is which one?
The magic song. I've got the magic in me. That one.
I don't even know.
You're going to get us copyright strike.
I thought I only did like 3 seconds.
Somebody's going to Shazam this and figure out that song. Anyway. So yeah, he's in the movie. I like that actor. This is the only other thing I've seen him in besides Pitch Perfect. So I was like, oh, cool. And the basis of the story is that he's basically a troubled youth. He's depressed. He goes to therapy. Somebody else signs his cast as kind of a joke. But then that guy ends up killing himself because he's also depressed. But the parents think that they were good friends because... it's kind of hard to explain, but basically there's a confusion. There's a mix-up that happens where the parents of the boy that commits suicide think that Evan Hansen was a really good friend of his. And when they see that his cast was signed with the really huge letters of the guy's name, they're like, oh, see, of course you guys are friends. Look at that. He signed his name all big because, only a really good friend would do that. So basically that kind of changes everything because it helps the parents deal with it because they thought their son didn't have any friends. So it's like, okay, so he had you. That makes us feel better. At least he wasn't alone. And that's kind of like the premise of the movie is like, even in darkest times, there's always someone out there. But the whole thing is based on a lie. And it just keeps growing and growing where Evan Hansen's life seems to start improving. But only because all of this is building up on the fact that everybody thinks that he was like the only... good thing in the other guy's life as a friend or whatever. And so he's struggling with whether or not to come forward with it because it would cause more damage than it would fix, but it would, ease his conscience because he doesn't like that everything is based on a lie, which was unintentional. And I guess that's what it is. And it's a musical, so there's definitely, it breaks out into song. I think in the trailer you only really hear one song or part of it, but I was like, man, like this is not something that would have come across my radar normally, but just on the strength of these two guys talking about it, I'm like, wow, I'm like really interested in this now.
So I think it's a really good musical. I'm kind of curious what they honed in on as being problematic about it. Because to me, I think it's a really good representation of what do you do when faced with the fact that, there's an assumption that's been made that's incorrect about you. But that assumption is helping others and helping you. What do you do about that? And I think it's a good question to be asking ourselves.
Yeah, I think I would keep that lie in place, personally.
You would?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels like it's something that you would have to, but depending on what kind of person you are, like it could eat at you, or you could start feeling like everything that you're getting, the way that your life is improving as a result, is not deserved. You definitely can get that imposter syndrome going on there. So, yeah, I'm really intrigued just based on that and what these two guys said, because they both liked it. I mean, what the one who's actually seen the show was said it's fantastic, and but. I'm curious to see how that
role originally played by James Corden in the Broadway show.
If I heard them correctly, I think they said it was originated by Ben Platt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he also started it on the show, and then didn't do it for a while, and they brought him back for the movie.
I mean, I knew he was a Broadway actor before Pitch Perfect. I just didn't know that he was also in a Netflix show called The Candidate, I think, or something like that. As a
yes, about a teenager who, or a college student who was running for school president, and then basically breaks out onto the
world or national stage of politics. Okay,
I didn't make it very far into that series.
I think they got a second season.
It did.
I was gonna say that kind of sounds like a Reese Witherspoon movie, doesn't it?
Legally Blonde was so much better.
Okay, that's 3 trailers. What was your movie?
Army of the Dead.
By
Zack Snyder.
Return to the Snyderverse of zombies.
Is the paper thin focal length as bad as people have said?
It didn't really bother me, to be honest. The thing that, if I was going to take issue with anything in this movie, I didn't even notice because I don't have a 8K or 4K TV. It's just regular 1080. I couldn't notice the dead pixels, but apparently a lot of people with high-end televisions are whining about the fact that at least one of the digital cameras that they used to film has several dead pixels that you can clearly see in several scenes.
The thing, as I understand it, is that it's not even that there's a dead pixel in the footage, because honestly that would be an easy fix. The thing was that because of some issue with it trying to display what's happening with the actual footage, people are getting that dead pixel that's showing. It's not a thing that is there even like from scene to scene. It's not even something as like recreatable as seeing the same one every time. It's very odd. There was someone who did like a big breakdown of it that I was reading.
So it could just be like a bit rate issue.
I didn't know it was 4Ks and 8Ks. I thought it was just OLEDs.
I don't know. I didn't see anything about it being limited to OLED TVs even.
Yeah. Or yeah. Oh, I don't know. But yeah, so one of the biggest things that I've heard about this movie, and I haven't watched it yet, and I want to know first, John, did you like the movie? That's all you have to say, yes or no.
I can't quantify it that simply. I can tell you I didn't hate it.
You didn't hate it, okay?
Yes.
So I would say one of the biggest, like, I don't know if it's a criticism or comparisons, is that it is Aliens.
Yes. Absolutely.
It's the movie Aliens made with zombies.
Yes. It's the movie. Okay, so it's not just that it follows plot points. There's actual blocking of scenes that are taken from Aliens and characters. The most obvious one is the Latina character who has the red headband. Literally looks the same and I think dies the same. Spoiler alert. You have a Paul Reiser type character does the exact same things that Paul Reiser does in the movie, right down to like locking everybody behind a certain door, and like as soon as he thinks he's free, then gets dispatched. You know, like it's that. I want to learn how to do video editing for many reasons. One of them is so that I can compare these side by side and show you how they literally take these scenes from Aliens and just put them in here and replace them with zombies. As a matter of fact, one interesting thing I found out about this movie after the fact is that, speaking of problematic people, this movie had originally featured Chris D'Elia.
That's right.
Yeah, and then his role was essentially replaced by Tig Notaro, right?
But
Yes,
not the role. Like they erased him from the film and put her over him.
They digitally replaced them. Yeah, Tig Notaro was not on set with any people. Her scenes were all filmed when the film was already in the can, and like they just brought her in. They green screened some of her scenes. Anytime you see her on the screen with other people, she's not really there.
I heard it was pretty flawless.
It is actually. I didn't know. I had no idea. I would never have guessed that. Because based on the quality of the acting, it already doesn't seem like people are talking to each other anyway. And that's not really a slam, because like Dave Bautista is kind of good in it. Like
he's fine as an actor. I liked him in 2049.
I mean, I like him in even though he doesn't say much. I like him in the last James Bond movie, The Spectre, I think. He's okay in that other one with Kumail Nanjiani. What was that one?
The
Stuber.
Yeah.
Like he does good. He's just it's just Zack Snyder's storytelling it kind of sucks. Like I love everything about Zack Snyder except the way he likes to tell a story. And when you give him the ability to write that story, like Dawn of the Dead, fantastic remake. Some people have their problems with it. Some people don't think it's as good or better than the original. That's a fair concern.
But that's James Gunn's writing that really makes that movie. Yeah.
And 300 was a fantastically shot movie, but the source material was Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Which, like him or hate him, I mean, 300 was a pretty solid movie. But Sucker Punch was all style and just like a clusterfuck of a story, if you could even call it that.
Yeah.
And I mean, the same goes for anything else that he tried. Like, some people are great as writer-directors. Zack Snyder's not one of them.
Yeah, I feel like Zack Snyder has to be part of a team.
Yeah.
But people keep saying, you know what, you want to do the whole thing yourself? You got it, dude.
But that being said, it wasn't bad. Some of the story elements are nonsensical because it takes zombie tropes and then it introduces things like apparently zombies can get pregnant.
What?
Yeah,
That's a thing that can happen here.
Biologically, but okay.
There's a lot of things that he's making huge jumps in zombie evolution in this movie, as I've heard.
Yeah. They try to establish that there's a zombie hierarchy where if you get bit by the head zombie, you can become an alpha zombie. But if you get bit by an alpha zombie, you just become a regular zombie, which they call a shambler. So there's different levels of intellect. They have kind of like their own society within, because this all takes place in Las Vegas. This is kind of like, what's that video game? Dead Rising?
Dead Rising.
I was thinking like Left 4 Dead with the classifications.
That's true.
But
too.
Dead Rising is probably the bigger one since there's like a functioning society under it apparently.
And there's also all the grab anything you can to use as a weapon kind of thing.
Yeah, that happens. Like one of them has like a circular saw as his main weapon. They do some interesting stuff for sure. Like it's not so bad that it's dreadful. It's definitely like one of those so bad it's almost kind of good. Not at like The Room or Birdemic level. It's this weird middle gray area where it's just kind of like wasn't a total waste of time. Maybe you could make some kind of watch party with it and just like make fun of the movie, or try to notice where like Tig Notaro was digitally spliced in instead. Oh, that's another scene that they take straight out of Aliens, by the way. So it whatever. It's this. There's nothing you can really spoil about this movie. Watch it for the zombie kills. That's the only. Oh, and it begins like So here's my main problem I have with the movie. I know I'm making this a little too long now, but I'm gonna try to wrap it up. So my main problem with this movie is that because it's coming out at like, I wouldn't even say it's the tail end of the zombie craze. It's basically like the zombie thing is done already. So this movie's doing basically just so many derivative things to the point where like it begins like so many other zombie movies where like people are transporting unknown cargo and there's like some kind of military experiment. So there's a lot of like Return of the Living Dead stuff in there. The actual intro, like beginning credits, were done better by what was the Jesse Eisenberg zombie movie? Zombieland?
Zombie.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
got real caught
basically
up on
that.
the thing, American Ultra.
Yeah, so the intro is basically that, where you have like you see the decay of civilization set to music. I forget what song they did, but the one that they used for Zombieland was better because it was Metallica. This one I can't remember what it was. You see like
I also heard that they use like on the nose garbage. They use zombie.
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I think that was how they ended the movie. I think was Zombie. It was like an acoustic version.
Yeah, it's like the last version she recorded before she passed.
Yeah. Oh well, if it was actually from the real band, that was the Cranberries.
Was it? I thought it was.
That's the Cranberries for that song for
Yeah.
sure.
Is it? Okay. Then
I
maybe I was
thought you
thinking
were talking about a garbage cover or something.
Yeah, maybe it was a garbage cover then. Because it was the lead singer.
By who?
The lady. It was the lady that was the lead singer of Garbage.
Okay, then yeah, that might have been a cover. That was her name's escaping me right now. But anyway, yeah, so there's nothing subtle about this movie. It's very, very on the nose. And in typical Zack Snyder fashion, there's a lot of interesting plot threads that actually don't go anywhere.
Oh, you
And-
don't say.
Yes.
Yeah, isn't there like a whole possible time travel like element that's in there?
There might be. The whole movie ends with like, oh, we thought we had all of this contained. Guess not, because now we're moving to a new city and this is all going to start all over again kind of situation.
Well,
I
guess
don't
what?
know. Like it's
You'll have plenty of more because they have a spin-off movie that's coming and a spin-off animated series that's coming, all on Netflix.
yeah, I think I heard about the series. Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
if I were to say there was one thing that I definitely didn't hate about this movie is that during that beginning credit sequence that's set to music where you start seeing the decay of Las Vegas, you get zombie showgirls. So there was that.
Why does Zack Snyder get to make 40 movies when we only have one Dread?
You
know,
it's a good
life's not
question.
fair.
It's fucked up.
I mean, why did we lose Heath Ledger, but we have Jared Leto? Like, it's just,
This is a solid question.
Ouch. All right. Army of the Dead is available on Netflix right now. I watched a new show from Marvel, but it's an animated series. It is a stop motion animated series on Hulu. It is MODOK. And for those who don't know, MODOK is a mental organism designed only for killing. It is.
Yeah.
He is one of Iron Man's, or even just Marvel's villains.
What was his original name, Mitch?
Mental organism designed only for knowledge.
I thought it was computing, and it was like with a C, and they
Not
changed
Tilly?
it to K.
It might be. It might have been with a C. There's a bunch of different acronyms for him.
Yeah, I think there's
He's changed
Modam.
throughout the years.
There's
Yeah.
the other version.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. The character, you have seen the character, even though you don't know the character. It looks like a guy with a guy who is a giant head with little arms and hands that floats around in a metal suit.
I always thought he looked like Krang, but as a big thing.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Krang. It's been said he's most of the time a Iron Man villain because he's usually the head of AIM, Advanced Intelligence Mechanics. Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Who we thought we were seeing in WandaVision.
Yes, we thought that we were going to see that in WandaVision. We also got hinted at in Iron Man 3 with Killian being the head of them. But this show is all stop motion. MODOK is voiced by Patton Oswalt. Once again, back to Patton Oswalt. It's done by the studio that did Robot Chicken, Stupid Buddy. So it's got that same look. Definitely the same kind of jokes. It's a very humorous show. It's all about how he is the head of this evil organization that tries to terrorize superheroes and steal money. But when he goes away, he's also a family guy. Like, he goes home. His wife is a vlogger, a lifestyle vlogger. His son is awkward. His daughter, who looks like him, a giant floating head, is the belle of this high school. Like, she's very popular, and they don't mention the fact that she looks like a giant floating head. Like, that, it's not a thing, so it's cool
At all. Freaking Ben Schwartz's character is just little kid Ben Schwartz or whatever.
Yep.
And then she's just also MODOK. Like, what happened?
It's literally one. You have two kids. One looks like your mom. One looks like the dad. That just happens, I guess. So that's essentially what the show is about. It's about his family life and how he tries to make it through, even though he's the leader of a big evil organization. So it's funny. It's supposed to be humorous. I think it was John Hamm as the voice of Iron Man at the beginning of the episode, but I can't.
I didn't look, actually. I was wondering who was going to be, but I didn't stick around for the credit.
And I think you have that a lot of cameo voices jumping in just to do certain characters.
Yeah,
it was. What'd you say?
The lady who is the one who's vying for command of AIM. It's Jake. I forget her name from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Jake Peralta's significant
Melissa
other.
Fumero.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she is playing. Oh, what is the character? It doesn't matter. Anyways,
AIM lady.
AIM lady. Did you enjoy it, Steven?
No.
Yeah, it's not good. I just didn't. I don't fall for that humor. I think the most interesting thing about it is that it is a layover from previous Marvel television division that no longer exists. This is one of the shows that Kevin Feige, when he absorbed Marvel Television into Marvel Studios, said he still wanted them to make. There was 4 shows that were supposed to come out that Jeff Loeb was in charge of, 4 animated shows that were going to be on Hulu. This one, Hit Monkey, Howard the Duck, and I can't remember what the 4th one was. I think the Howard the Duck one was supposed to be done by Kevin Smith. And this is the one that made it through. I think Hit Monkey might still be in production, but I'm not sure. So I think I just find that all that interesting. This is the one that Kevin Feige decided, nope, this is the one that makes it through. I want to see more of this.
Also, like the idea that this series is the most kind of like time intensive kind of thing for them to have possibly made, and the least malleable.
Yes.
When so much else in the MCU is it's movable. You could change things around, move this or that. Even up in production, until the end of WandaVision, we were supposed to have that Doctor Strange cameo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the idea that they settled for this one, which isn't like a CG produced stop motion thing, like the Worthy Kids thing, Captain Yajima that I talked about recently, where it looks like it's a Rankin Bass kind of thing, but it's all CG. This is done with models, actually done with stop motion and everything. And that's insane in this day and age.
That's literally why I can't watch stop motion stuff. Like, it makes me think about how long it had to have taken to make any particular scene. Like, I know animation takes a long time, but for whatever reason, when I watch an animated thing, like a traditional CG or hand-drawn animation thing, I don't think about it as that. I think about it when it's stop motion animation. Like it.
Interesting.
It really bugs me, and I don't know what it is about it. But yeah, they can't really have timely jokes or really be involved in any current storyline that's going on in the MCU because the stop motion just takes way too long to do. So, Marvel's MODOK is available on Hulu. All right, let's get into Shadow and Bone, 5th episode. What's it called, John?
Ow!
Show me who you are.
Show me who you are. I just want to say is like the tailor. I know she can fix the skin if someone's hurt. Like she took away that scar. But when she's doing makeup, is she like making the skin turn that color? Or is she like producing makeup onto her eyes, like for the eyeshadow and lips and lipstick?
I think she's producing makeup just like she's dyeing the hair, because she says the hair dye doesn't last. So if she were actually manipulating the skin, it wouldn't stay put.
Her powers are weird. It's way too powerful for being used just to make hair.
And also kind of useless.
That's the thing I was gonna say. We're in that spot where if you really think about the ability and try to be like, well, what's the implication of this one?
Yeah.
It's broken. It's broken. You cannot consider it any further, because if we apply the same rule about like the way that the hair stuff goes, where she set up the idea of it's only there for a little bit, does that also apply to the like other skin changes that she makes?
Right.
So if she goes and like heals somebody with this ability of hers, which it seems like to me she probably could, would the person just fall apart later and they're back in the situation from when they were injured?
Honestly,
I can't answer these questions.
Honestly, I think so. I think that's why she doesn't consider herself a healer and why she doesn't attempt
to heal Marie.
To heal Marie, because that's not what her power does. She can do surface level things, but nothing she does is permanent.
She's specifically a glamour. Like she can produce glamours, and that's about it.
She can, change the way you appear to others, but she can't actually fix anything.
Okay.
That'd be too much.
This episode is definitely the episode that I've heard a lot of people talk about. John was very excited in our group chat when after he got to watch this episode, and the rest of us were still waiting to watch. I do want to say, though, everybody seems to be just lucky instead of good. Like we know that the people in the show have skill, but being lucky is just better.
Hey, the guy laid it out in the train.
Skill.
Bagra has skill, but she's resting a lot on her. Well, he's not going to kill me. I'm his mother, like kind of thing.
I mean, if it's worked for this many millennia,
fair.
Hey, to be fair, the guy in the train laid it out. It's like, you got skill, and sometimes you need luck.
Yep.
Yeah.
And his luck ran out.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
I had already seen this episode.
He was trying to do too many double crosses.
I mean, it does get a little hairy after 2.
Yeah, like
It's true.
You can't do that many double crosses. It just never worked. You can't keep track of your lies at that point.
What were you saying, Steven?
I had already seen this episode before seeing the other episodes that I then had to go back and go see, because Naima watched the episodes. Like I had already seen specifically this one and was like, what happened? This is not that deep into this series.
And now that you've gone back and rewatched the other ones, are you still in that same boat?
Pretty much up until the part where the actual end of this episode it happens, and it's that, oh no, he's actually the bad man from back when. Like that's the only part where I was like, okay. Everything else I had like this issue with or that issue with or something, and I feel like such a bitch about it. Like I don't want to just complain through a whole series, guys.
That's what I'm here for. So, my biggest complaint in this episode, what was it that I did?
You can't pick one. That's the problem.
My biggest complaint with this episode and this series is the scene where you have these two diplomats that have absolutely no name, have never been shown before, come walking in and just start talking about the problems that the country is having with another country, but they're saying all these things that I have absolutely no reference for and no idea what they're talking about. Like, it makes no sense. You're just saying gibberish at this point because I have nothing to refer to.
It's been my issue through
lies.
the entire series has been that it's
Yes.
like those, like back in the day, I really wanted to read more sci-fi and fantasy as a kid. I wanted to so bad. So any book that looked right, I would pick it up and I would dive in. And because of this like just loose way of approaching books and stuff, I picked up all these books that were the first book in a series that would be like in the 4th age of the 13th year of the the 3rd clan of the Lastriel, and I'm like, I don't fucking want to do this already. Why are you doing this? And that's all of this whole series.
Because Lord of the Rings did it, and so now we all must do it.
Yeah, but take Lord of the Rings.
Honestly, that's that everybody wants to be Tolkien, and nobody can do it the way Tolkien did it because nobody's willing to put the time and energy into actually.
But I feel like and don't get me wrong, I've never read any of the Tolkien books, but watching the movie, I would assume they are. Watching the movie, I feel like you have a general understanding of who is where and where they need to go and all that.
Yes, because the movie was able to synthesize the 8 chapters it takes you to get all that information, 10 chapters, where because Tolkien bothered to create languages and actually document a full history. And
the only other thing that everyone forgets is that all the stuff that connects in Lord of the Rings, as we know it now, a bunch of that stuff, the ring was there. It wasn't important in the original story for The Hobbit. No. He still wrote a thing and then made stuff later. It was earned.
Yes. Yeah, no, he like built a world and was like, oh, I should probably have a story that matters in this world. Oh, okay, here, let me pick something. There,
how did this boulder end up in this hill? And get its entire lineage.
But so all fantasy science fiction writing since then has been like, oh, we'll build worlds, but nobody wants to do the decades worth of work to actually build the world before writing the damn book.
And shoot me because I'm about to open a can of worms. John, how do they do it in Star Wars? Is it just that beginning crawl where it's like there's an intergalactic war and these are the two sides and that's all you need
to know?
Like, how is it that you know Alderaan, Tatooine, and all this other stuff and who's at war in that first movie?
There's a good answer for this.
What is it?
John, it's the edit. It wasn't at first.
Well, yeah, Steven is kind of right about that. But so the way that it worked with Star Wars when it first came out is that it was really literally just Arthurian legend with a sci-fi twist, and you weren't supposed to think too much about it. There was a little bit of backstory and a little bit of snippets here and there that Lucas himself didn't even do. Like, they were done by production people and artists and others, like, to justify, why is this an X-wing? Well, because the wings look like an X because of this reason and whatever. But that was like... You didn't need to know that to enjoy the story. Yeah, that was literally because they look like bow ties. And they just retroactively said, well, no, that actually stands for twin ion engines.
Sure.
Which is like, where does that even have engines? Whatever, it's retroactive. So Star Wars built on itself after it became like a monolith of pop culture. When it first came out, there wasn't much there to dive into. It was just kind of like, that's the story, that's how you get. And that's one of the things that went... this is a can of worms, damn you, Mitch. That's one of the things that the prequels screwed up, is that now Lucas wanted to do the Tolkien thing and tell the backstory of everything. And clearly he wasn't a skilled enough storyteller to do that, because now you have things that don't make any sense, like Anakin built C-3PO. Is that relevant? No. That never factors in any important plot of the whole story.
Just creates holes.
And I'm gonna reel John in here for just a minute, because I think what you get at with all of this stuff, because I was listening to that same conversation and I actually understood most of it.
Okay.
part of the big problem, and part of the problem Star Wars ran into for a little bit, is when you use very complicated words as the names of places, or words that are unfamiliar to your audience in terms of sounds, they don't catch them as quickly. Because all of the players that were discussed in that short snippet at this point have been referenced batteringly.
But
it's been a single sentence, a single word, and so unless you are comfortable with the language and the names, you don't catch it.
I can see that. I am a terrible American. Like, just don't really understand the outside words. No, I'm insulting myself, so it's fine.
I mean, quite honestly, Russians would have the same problem. I mean, the thing is they're using Cyrillic-based names, and that we are a Germanic-based language, not a Cyrillic-based language, so we have this sounds very strange to us, so we don't catch it as easily.
Me, on the other hand, I'm enjoying that aspect of it.
I'm here for words. Like, I like this one. Like the fact that the last episode was named Otskasatsia.
Yeah.
Like, that was good. I'm fine with the word part of it. Like, give me all of the weird words. It's just no more than 3 at a time for concepts that don't have weight to them yet.
Fair. See, for me, I enjoyed that whole conversation because I was like, oh, look, we're playing a game of diplomacy. Watch it go around the room.
And see, and maybe it's just because I'm just not interested enough in the story. I still don't know who's the warring factors. Like, I don't know who's at war with
everyone in this kingdom.
Everyone in this kingdom.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've got 4 kingdoms warring with each other, and then you've got several factions within those kingdoms.
Okay. But I do understand that Kerrigan is the black heretic and that he created the fold. And when he did, the people that were trapped inside the fold got turned into those flying wraith things.
Yes.
Women and the
he
children,
basically made
too.
Silent Hill.
Yes, basically Silent Hill.
Made Silent Hill.
Yeah.
So then what are the parts that you all enjoyed? Yep. Okay.
The plot movement.
The plot movement. Okay.
Yeah. I did enjoy the plot movement. I enjoyed the reveal and the one little flashback as to why we had to kill off Askin.
Which one was Askin?
The conductor of the train.
Oh, okay. Well, he's not dead.
I mean, he's as good as dead.
I'm sure he's going to talk his way out of it. I mean, the one science man in the whole series is going to die. Come on.
Yep. Yes, he's got to. And I also appreciate that we finally got the scene where we can see the creepy priest guy is in fact going to be creepy good priest guy as opposed to just creepy bad priest guy.
He is creepy.
He remains creepy.
He has good intentions, though.
But he has good intentions. He's on the right side of things.
He just doesn't know how to not be creepy.
Exactly.
That's another thing with this show. Everybody is awkward. Everything is awkward. All interactions are awkward. Even the one that's the relationship that's the most smoothest, like Jesper and the stable boy, like still had to be awkward first.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's just too much. Like, for someone who says she gets to like secondhand awkwardness,
I
anxiety,
spent the entire episode looking anywhere but at the screen.
Like, it hurt me.
Now, I think awkwardness was a theme in this episode because the episode started with probably one of my favorite scenes of this episode. And I really like this episode. This has definitely been my favorite so far because what everyone else agrees to, that this one had plot and motion happening. But I love the little conversation they're having. This also had really cute character moments, like when the 2 other Grisha are talking about how the Inferi was trying to flirt with the guy and accidentally set him on fire. That was great.
And then tried to drown him.
Yeah. It's little things like that actually make a story interesting, not the big world building things, and that's what some people misunderstand. Is a lot of Lord of the Rings would have been shit if we didn't care about Frodo and Sam's interactions, or Gandalf getting pissed off at Pip for like fucking up the thing. Basically, like it's all these little things that actually make it, and that's probably one of the reasons why I like this one more. And the crows each had kind of like their own little things to do in this episode, like Jesper hooking up with the stable boy. I like that scene so much I made a meme about it. I
And
don't know
then
if everybody got a
magically
chance to see it.
As I say, and then magically having Alina just crawl into his carriage.
Yeah. I was like, what are the odds, of that happening? And so, like, basically he struck out like 2 for 2 on that one. Meanwhile, the other two crows, Inej and the guy, I forget his name,
The
like
leader?
they're having
Kaz?
they're having to deal with murder and like almost getting caught, and it's
Well,
like
I mean,
it's
not
like
just
they're not
that.
even.
She's going to have a complete crisis of faith.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that too. That's one interesting thing that because spoiler alert, I kind of looked a little bit at the books or synopsis of the books. Apparently, that becomes a real big thing
I
moving
would think it
forwards in
would.
the story.
So here's my other thing. Speaking of crisis of faith, Askin didn't seem to have any crisis of faith in killing who he thought was Alina for
Oh, no,
the revolution.
Is he
He's
religious?
Yes, because when he and Inej met, when Inej was going to kill him for her freedom, he stopped her because he saw the pendant and he's like, "Oh, you are of the faith too."
That's just he's using opportunity. He is a grifter to stay alive in any way, and money speaks the most to him.
Well, except he wasn't killing Alina for money. He was killing Alina because he believes in the revolutionary in Western Kaz.
I think it's more that
Ralston.
he makes money off of getting people back and forth through the fold. If she makes the fold go away, that's the source of his money's gone.
So yeah, and I thought he was doing it due to the West Ravkin Grisha, who's looking to overthrow the general.
I mean, yeah, he did talk to that guy. It's a double bonus for him. I just don't think he does anything without profit in mind.
I feel like that's more Kaz's motivation.
But you're seeing that he at least has some type of morals.
Kaz?
Yeah.
When?
I mean, he cares for Inej. He cares.
Yes, that's an interpersonal relationship. That's not morals.
A code is a code.
I don't think he's got a code. I think he just cares about people. And his people. And only his people.
Okay. I mean, all right. I still say that's a code.
There's an honor among thieves.
What was that?
Is it there's an honor among thieves?
Yeah, there you go. It's an honor among thieves. Anyways.
Stop it. It's a podcast.
It's a podcast.
No, yeah, I don't know. There was a lot that I was happy to have had happen in this episode. There were things that I think have been a long time coming and needed to actually happen. I think this is where the series starts.
Okay. Fair.
And that's not just for this season.
Everything else was definitely felt like a build up to this.
I mean, so we have Mal finally making it to the little palace. So he is mere steps away from meeting up with Alina. Mere moments away from, I am assuming, losing her virginity to
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Most definitely.
And that gets called away.
Thank God.
She gets led away by Bagra and learns that Kerrigan is as old as sin. And where do we go next? The two of them still have not met up together, but I guess Mal kind of has an idea of where she's at, or at least knows that he can track her.
That's the key. Bagra gave the line of where we're going next. You would need the best tracker to find her.
So what's the
If only we had one of those.
If only. What's the over-under and what actually is Mal's power, his gift? I think he heals himself. He's immortal.
I don't think
You know,
he's immortal.
I came to the realization that the shadow and bone probably refers to Kerrigan and Mel
Yeah.
in the story.
Because
Okay.
bone has like the stag is made of bone, right?
Yeah, so the bone is the Grisha that can grow the animals
That's right.
from their fingers.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think that I'm with John. I think that's
He's the
Mouse.
reincarnation of
Yes.
that guy. All
I
right.
think this was all just about the one scene that was happening earlier that got interrupted. So you had the man with the shadows, and they were going to bone.
Bone?
Steven.
By the way, I really like. So this is something I'm familiar with in real life. So when I see it in fiction, it really affects me in an unreasonable way.
Blue balls?
No-
Hey, were you gonna say? Like, I'm actually super curious about this one.
Sorry.
I was gonna say I never get blue balls. There's always a way. But the scene where Kerrigan is probing Mel for things that Alina likes,
Right.
and then uses that.
The blue irises?
I'm like, oh, you bastard! Like that just hits me right in the feels when I was like, I hate that type of person so much.
Yeah, he's doing
You
like a
and me
high school bully kind of thing.
Yes. And if you're listening right now, fuck
He
you.
reminds me of the bad guy in 10 Things I Hate About You. The
Oh,
rich,
yeah.
pretentious,
the model.
the model. Yeah.
I'm sorry, model / actor.
That's the same. It's the same character trope. And yes, I'm with you. I hate it.
Yes.
But-
It's like uber douche.
I'm just glad that Alina has finally caught on to what the rest of us figured out about an episode and a half, 2 episodes ago, where she is not in a love triangle.
Yeah, but did she catch on, or did someone just finally come out and say, "Hey,
Somebody
he's
just
a bad guy"?
Whacked her over the head with it. You know, whatever it takes for her to realize it. Okay, sometimes direct information is the most effective medicine.
I know nothing about these books. However, I know that there are a lot of these books.
There's a lot.
There's more than 2 of these books.
Okay.
So I imagine he's going to convince her back to his side for a little bit. They have a tryst, and then it reverts back to her thinking, "Why did I ever trust him?" Again,
And I figure in the books that whole
you think it was longer
single
for this part?
scene was several weeks over the long course.
I mean, they definitely skipped over the training montage that would have
Yeah.
been in there of her being able to do more stuff with her powers.
Mm-hmm.
They just decided, nah, we don't need that. Let's just get straight to the boning in the shadow.
There's something seriously wrong with all of you.
Yep. Yeah. So as she is now going to be traveling with the crows, are they going to turn her over for the million Kurgan or whatever it is?
No.
That they're supposed to be
Kruger?
getting? Kruger.
No.
Yes.
Really?
They're going to turn her over, and then Inej is going to have the crisis that she's going to have, and she and Jesper are going to convince Kaz to break her out.
Is her power at all offensive? Like, does it hurt anything other than shadows? Can she direct it into someone's eyes and blind them? Can she set someone on fire? Does anybody know?
I don't know about
no
the
idea,
heat
but I assume
element.
so.
What was that, Steven?
I think brightness, yes. Heat, no.
No heat. I mean, sun summoner, the sun is pretty hot.
I think that's just a descriptor because we have to use words that we know.
Fine.
Yeah.
It might give you skin cancer over time.
Just you wait 10 more years.
Nope. I really just want her to end up having to use the punch that Mal was teaching her in one of those other flashbacks about how to hold her hand, about how to make a fist.
I don't. The first time I made a fist, I did not put my knuckle in this way that anyone talks about in media, where they're like, you can't hold your thumb, or you can't have your thumb pointing out like that. I never did this. I don't know it. why is it so prevalent in storytelling
It's
that
not
people have to
natural.
tell people not to?
Like, yeah.
Like you just
You gotta stick it between your like ring and middle finger.
you
And then-
do the little.
Yeah, just do like a nice jab.
God.
Nope, that's all wrong. Don't do that. Okay. Is there any other parts that anybody would love to bring up about this show?
Yes.
Oh,
Alina was told by one of the few people that she trusted, the tailor, explicitly, don't trust men in power. And she immediately runs in the opposite direction. And I'm like, okay, not even gonna think about it, not even gonna like give it a chance to simmer. You're not even gonna nope, we're literally just gonna walk away from that conversation.
I mean,
right in the opposite direction.
it is Ben Barnes. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
cheap
you
buns.
sleep with them, you don't fall in love with them. There's a difference.
That honestly, that's fair.
I mean, who's to say that she wasn't just gonna sleep with like wham bam and thank you ma'am with him? Like she was gonna get hers and get done, but it got interrupted.
Yeah, no, clearly not. That is not the way that was going to go. You and I and everybody else who's watching knows it.
Well, then I would say you need to take it up with the writer of either the book or the show.
I will.
Okay.
Hey, we didn't get any more with the Grisha kidnapper. And
Oh,
the people
right.
who-
That's
We
true.
didn't.
Yeah, that boat is now sunk.
We just got the reference to it in the conversation that Mitch hated so much.
Yes.
It's gonna come back around.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it'll be in the next episode.
yeah, I was like, how is this going to factor into this? I did like that one scene though, where Alina and the other one with the makeup powers break out into the carnival that's going on
Oh
outside.
yeah, it had the quintessential scene that I love, but much earlier in the series,
So the scene of what?
where there's a reenactment of the
Oh.
characters.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's this like beautiful blonde curly-haired woman
Because
that's
they have
doing the
absolutely
sun
no idea
summoning.
what Alina actually looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like as soon as Alina gets to look at it, she was like, "Oh, that's awkward."
Should I tell them?
No. I did like the way that Kaz got into the castle or the little palace or whatever you want to call it beyond the gate. Like essentially paid another guy to start a riot, and he walks in as a guard,
extra guard.
as an extra guard. So still, my favorite part of the show is the crows. Like really the only part that I care
Yeah,
about.
because they're cool. They're actually working together and doing stuff.
So their little heist, once again, another heist in the planning, and then the planning going completely wrong.
And then it just magically
And
falls
then
in
works out for
Jesper's
them.
lap.
Yeah, that's right. Completely just works out for him.
He's clear. They're a D&D party, and I think that it's only grown more and more clear.
So
Yes.
what would Kaz be? What would Jesper be? What would Inej be?
I don't think that they hold to necessarily D&D classes, but some of the other RPG systems that are out there, they definitely stick to. Like the whole gunslinger thing, where it's a lot of charisma and marksmanship is all that Jesper is.
Well, I mean, Inesh is definitely a rogue with all
Yeah.
of her agility and knife throwing.
This is true. And then Kaz would be, I think, the idea from Shadowrun of a face, the person who interfaces with clients.
The high charisma.
He's the manager.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have charisma. He just
No, but he
has
does.
diplomacy.
He does.
Yeah.
He's savvy, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There you go. That's episode 5. Show me your power. If you have any more information that you'd love to give to us, except for not what's going to happen further down the series, please find me on Twitter. I am at Mitchipedia GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. Steven, where can people find you online? Hopefully it's TikTok with
my
all that
website.
dancing moves that you got.
Ooh, baby. No, come check out my website. I just posted a few new things that I had done more recently with some other motion graphic stuff. It's www.peppermintgentleman.com or shiftcontrolz.com.
Really?
Yeah, they'll both take you there.
Nice. I mean,
Thank
you
you.
have to type in Shift Control Z. Don't push
Yeah.
Shift Control Z. John, where can people find you online?
I'm so glad you asked, Mitch, because you can find me on Twitter. I am at MagicBollocks, and that stands for Never Getting Blue Balls.
There you go. It's a good Grisha power that you got there.
Jessica can't ever leave again.
Elizabeth, where can people find you online?
If you want to find me and convince Mitch that he's wrong about Kaz having a code, you can find me with the rest of Geek Elite Media at Geek Elite Media and our Facebook page /Geek Elite Media.
And check out our website, geekelitemedia.com, for archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our network. And check out our Patreon, patreon.com/geekelitemedia, for exclusive material that you can only get if you're one of our patrons. And whatever podcatcher you use to listen to us, please rate and review us. It helps spread the word of our network. But until next time, this is the Geeks Watch on the Geek Elite Media Network, saying always remember to geek out.
Geek out.
This concludes our broadcast.